Do you feel like America is more divided now more than ever? That's because we are. But why? Because we don't watch TV together anymore. Let me explain. It's not just that we don't watch TV together anymore, it's also that we don't watch movies together or have any shared cultural experiences beyond watching death and destruction on our phones. The United States is cobbled together with all sorts of cultures and people. For this reason, there's no American culture, at least not anymore. We used to have culture. We used to have an American culture. Our culture was built on shared entertainment experiences. TVs, movies, sports, etc. They wove the American tapestry that kept us all united. But not anymore. That's all gone away. Gone are the days when we all watched Revenge of the Sith in theaters, when we watched Lost or The Office, one episode a week, everyone tuning in at the same time on the same day. Now, we isolate ourselves in one room binging on the latest season of Stranger Things. On the one hand, streaming and personal devices have given us the ability to watch what we want, when we want. This is, without a doubt, more media freedom. But at what cost? Our culture is in shambles. We have no shared experiences to bring us together. And who wins when we're divided? Capitalist oligarchs building techno-fascist regimes intent on eliminating the one thing that truly makes us human: connection. Of course, there's no one single cause. Yeah, streaming kicked off this erosion of culture, and COVID accelerated it, but we allowed it. We've been content to spend our days alone in front of screens that allow us to play out our lives as individually as possible. But the result is cultural devastation and the end of humans as a collective group. As we continue to lose our shared cultural memories, what we call pop culture, we lose what makes us human, which capitalism feeds on while it builds a dystopian world no one actually wants to live in. I'm old enough to remember when Americans used to share the same entertainment experiences all the time. Each generation, dating back to World War II, had its own TV pop culture for us to share in and find common ground through which to deepen conversations and actions. Even before television, Americans had radio, where they would listen to World of Worlds or many different presidential speeches. I think about a story my late father always used to tell me. It takes place in the 80s, and it's centered around the TV show Miami Vice. For those who don't know, Miami Vice was a TV show about two detectives in Miami investigating and solving crimes. It was a fairly violent and dark show for the time, but it quickly became the prototype for pop culture. You see, Miami Vice, while it was about crime, it was more about being cool. Between the soundtrack, the visuals, the setting, and the characters, Miami Vice was a world in which everyone could be somebody and could lead an interesting life. So much so that my dad often recalled Miami Vice nights at the bars. As each episode came out, everyone went down to the bars, dressed up in their finest Miami Vice themed fits, and watched the show live together. The closest we get to this is maybe the Super Bowl, where we used to watch more for the commercials than the actual game. But even those commercials have been replaced with anti-human AI campaigns. When they watched Miami Vice together in the 80s at those bars, everyone had a common thread through which they could orient their world, through where they could find common ground. We've lost those cultural threads completely. For myself, I think about WWE in the 1990s or the TV show Lost in the 2000s. For those a little older than me, it was the X-Files in the 90s and the West Wing in the early 2000s. In the 2010s, even in the throes of cultural decline, we had Game of Thrones and the TV show Cosmos to latch onto, to give us a sense of shared human experience. And in the case of Cosmos, we had a place where science actually mattered. Stranger Things might be the last bastion of pop culture than America ever experiences. As I watched the credits roll on New Year's Eve, I couldn't help but feel like I lost the last shred of cultural identity we could all share. I fear, moving forward, there won't be any pop culturally relevant shows for humans to latch onto anymore, and this gives me deep anxiety for the future of our culture and our species. What's holding us together when we no longer have shared experiences? What's holding us back from becoming so isolated that we forget what made us such an incredible species to begin with? The more and more we are inundated with tragedies and trauma like 9/11, school shootings, and the genocide in Gaza, the more we lose the little humanity we have left. And once we lose our humanity, we become something other than human, something capable of ending all the positive things humanity has contributed to the universe. Yes, we've done some truly horrible things throughout our time on this planet, but we've also worked hard to move on and improve ourselves. Once we lose our collective empathy, we lose our purpose on this planet. Of course, the answer is not to eliminate bad things we see on our screens, especially crimes against humanity. This is not an attempt to censor. This is an attempt to relight the cultural flame that has dimmed over the years. Obviously, capitalism will continue to grind us down and try to force us into being something we are not. We must resist. But how? Get your friends together. Meet once a week and start watching a show. Go watch a movie together on the weekend. Create art. Write books together. Make music in person. Share human experiences, especially ones founded in entertainment. Build pockets of pop culture again. We need it now more than ever.